I said, yes. I said, do you realize we can get arrested for this? Not once, twice, because we couldn't be homosexual, and I couldn't cross the color barrier. And this was so funny. And that was a good thing. So for me, Nelson Mandela gave me freedom. And I will be forever grateful.
What's the biggest misconception about you?
This is a tough one. I wish my husband was here today. I quite honestly, and I'll be very honest because he will see this eventually. I asked him the question. He said to me, "No, you need to ask it. You need to answer it yourself." And I didn't know. But I tell you what he told me.
Okay.
People think I'm a fabulous cook. People think I am the best cook possible. I can make the best curry, and you want to know why? When we have people around, I am the host because I'm the head of my family. I stand there, I greet people as they come in, I am the host, I entertain everyone, but he does the cooking. And they say to me, "Oh, fabulous meal." Well, thank you. And I'll go to my husband, I'll go, "Honey, I did great, didn't I?" So people think I'm a very good cook. It's not me. I can do breakfast, I'm fabulous in bed, but I can't cook. So that's my biggest misconception.
If you could change anything at all about your leather journey or your current leather world, what would you change?
Besides solving world hunger by Tuesday, what could I change? Tough question.
Or would you change anything?
I would always want to change things. I believe change is good. Change is something that scares people. Change is something that tests people and demand thinking. I would like to see change in the form of, let's be nice to one another for starters. Because, and this is not a raw peace speech, I'm not all for that. But seriously, back home, and you people back home are going to see this on YouTube, I'm seen as a villain because I make certain choices, I make certain stands about certain things. And I do things for the greater of the community, not for me, not to benefit myself. I'm way past that. I've got what I want. I've got a wonderful family. I don't need to put someone down to make me feel better. So I'd like to start by saying to Mr. X or Mrs. X, stop bullshitting each other. Enjoy each other's company and respect. Those are simple little words that one needs, what we have. And we tend to stare at ourselves in mirrors and not thinking or not approaching the next person and saying, "You know what, I understand your trouble. And I understand that you can accept me for who I am. And let's talk to one another. Let's just engage more." World Peace by Tuesday.
How did you know to transition, or when did you feel the need to transition from boy to man? Or sir, rather?
As I told you, I started having an interest in men at a very early age. And I thought that it was just normal for a younger boy who was interested in an older man to be the bottom. So along with my kink and my journey, you were expected to be the bottom. And I had a daddy when I grew up, I was around 24, who would tie me up and I would be dominated, but very inexperienced. South Africa, at the time, you relied on books, on limited VHS. So that was our medium. Those were the days before internet. So, and obviously people would pass on to him, pass on to me, and he would tie me up, and it'll be a fun game to get out of the bondage. And then one day I realized, I'm getting bored with this. So I said to him, what if I get out of my bondage and I tie you up? And I got out of the bondage and I tied him up. And then it became a role play, and it was fun, but then that became boring because I realized that the older I get, I didn't have to be a bottom for someone. For me, transitioning from a bottom boy into his top partner within 6 months. And I realized that I could dominate an older man, and that became a huge obsession with me. And it's still today. I get off on dominating someone taller, bigger, and older than me. It's a sense of power. And I guess with a lot of different playing, with a lot of different your kinks, it's power exchange.
Yeah.
But when I became a sir, this same daddy one day said to me, you should become a leather master. And I said, I have no clue how. And I did research. And he was the person, and I had a discussion with someone back home quite recently, is, oh, very nice leather hat you have. And I went on to explain, this is not just a hat I'm wearing. I'm not wearing it, obviously not tonight, but this is not just a leather hat. This is not just something I'm wearing to make myself feel pretty. He told me what a cover is. What is the history? How do you earn it? And I felt I earned my cover. And my daddy presented it to me.
Wonderful.
And I was taught, and then obviously I was taught how to wear it, how to remove it, what the significance is. And with my travels, I live and learn all the time. And the most important thing that my cover means to me in becoming a sir is respect. I respect my slaves, I respect my boys, and I demand respect back. And also the fact that I put a cover on my head and I walk down the street or I walk into a dungeon, it doesn't give me a ticket to be an arsehole. That is respect. So to answer your question, it took a long time for me to transition because I didn't understand SOM all that much. I didn't understand the leather history and culture, but it came in time. And there was one day when I looked at my husband, who was my slave at the time, and I said to him, I think finally I can call myself a master. And he said, well, why do you say that? I said, because I can do everything in our bedroom behind a closed door, and I can love you at the same time, and I respect you and I give you honor in that way. So by him accepting me as a sir with my cover is my biggest validation.
Fantastic. Very good.
I have another, can I ask a question?
Do you want this on camera or off camera?
Please.
On camera?
Yeah, this is a leadership question.
Okay.
I was curious as to what is it about your experience as a Leatherman from South Africa you could teach us here in the States
Good
as
one.
how, as a Leatherman or as a leather sir, daddy.
Fantastic.
At the discussion panel, international discussion panel, we had a similar question, and we had Nigel, who was British, we had Master Jack Pierce, who's Canadian, and a lady and another man from Canadian. Their names slip my mind at the moment. What can I teach you? My answer to them was, I'm busy being taught. Because your history you have more history in your culture and in your own clubs and bars than I can ever imagine to be. If there's something that I can teach you is, be nice. Don't discriminate just because you think you God's gift to people. Because you're not. We're all special. We're all individual. I'm a hugger, I'm a kisser. Give that energy. Share energy. I have kissed so many people this weekend. I've hugged so many people. Just be nice. We don't need. There's enough trouble in the world. And I'm not going to solve world peace again by Tuesday. I've done that already. But by Wednesday. Okay, now by Wednesday. No, just be nice to people. Just accept yourself. I had to learn to accept myself a long time ago, and it took me quite a while to accept myself. And if you can't love yourself, then you can't share love to anyone else out there. So accept yourself, and then be nice to people.
More questions? Actually, we have a couple over here. Do you want this on or off camera?
I want this on camera.
Okay.
I don't want the microphone, actually.
All right.
I can shout it out.
You may want to repeat it though for the camera so
Your experience with a bootblack in the United States. What is your experience with bootblacking or shoe shining or
Good one.
equivalent
Yes.
Good one.
in South Africa?
My experience with bootblacking and at the LLC and in America, back home people have no clue what a bootblack is. They probably think it's a derogatory term. They have no concept. Leslie, I was very fortunate that Leslie gave me, and I'm going to admit this on camera.
Okay.
Leslie, besides working her ass off at IML, gave me my first proper bootblack session in a class. My experience, it is wonderful. I've learned so much in your class than I've ever learned in my life, which I'm going to take forward. You're going to be in South Africa in June. And it's special. I'm a massage therapist. I use hot stones to make people feel good. I use hot stones to heal people. These hands, I believe I'm a healer. That's why I touch people. I make contact with people. And Leslie did exactly. I sat there looking down at my boots, going through the process. I'm not ashamed to say that I was aroused. I was aroused by
My work is done.
Your work is done. Here I'm sitting, and I'm being aroused by this wonderful person sharing her energy with my second skin. And she explained to us exactly what she's doing, how and why. And it was just incredible. I learned so much in that little time. And hey, as I said, we all grow, we all learn. So besides the obvious arousal, you made it magic on my boots. So what did I learn? That I'm learning more and I need to know more. And as I said to you in the class, I had the stupid idea as an ignorant leatherman that all bootblacks are bottoms. No, they're not. And I want to thank you for it, because I've learned a lot. I love you.
Oh God, I'm going to have to have a lottery to determine who gets what. Somebody over here. Why don't we ask this? Yes, please. Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name is David, and I'm deaf myself. And I was wondering about, in South Africa, if you've met any deaf South Africans who are interested in leather.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. We don't have many hearing impaired people in our community. I don't know of any deaf gay person who's into leather. I know people who are gay, who would go to clubs, and I would find it amusing and wonderful that they would dance to the music better than I could. Standing next to a speaker and have perfect rhythm, and then I go, why can't I dance like that? But in the leather community, unfortunately not. We have a very small community. It is really tiny. I I would be lying if I say I knew someone. I can't lie. But I do know general gay people who are out there and who I have had contact with. David is a Facebook friend of mine who is simply amazing, and the connection we have is and I can say that to you, it's just incredible. Thank you.
Hey, this gentleman's been waiting. If I could not knock down the camera to try to get over. Some of the cameras do run a bit short, just so you guys know.
Last night you mentioned some of the struggles that you faced in, or people faced with apartheid and anti-homosexuality agenda in Africa and in other places. And I was wanted to just ask you a question, which is, you might hear this from other people saying, why do the struggles that are separated physically by continents and oceans, even ones philosophically by gender, color, race, and all these other issues, why are all these separated issues linked, and what are the consequences of inaction from a leadership perspective?
Sure. Wow.
A bit of humor, as my daddy said to me, that was a mouthful.
Sorry.
It's okay. The first thing is ignorance. People are being kept separate because they were forced to at one point because of apartheid. You were gay, but you didn't tell your neighbor, your family member. So separation was a big thing. If we don't, if you don't reach out to someone next to you and you tell them exactly who you are, that ignorance is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like a lie. If you start off with a little lie, that lie is going to multiply and multiply and multiply. And who knows where we might end up with. Crossing borders, the internet surely has helped us cross many, many borders. And friendships and love and trust. It's just how it gets done, how we move forward from that. Again, Nelson Mandela. I can't hate someone because he's German and what happened with the Second World War, just because of the fact he's German. I can't hate someone because they did something to me a while ago. I was mugged in South Africa, but I can't hate the mugger. It's a question of circumstances. So I think openness and conversation certainly helps. I hope it answered your question.
We've got time for about one or two more. Sure.
What is the one thing that you would take from your time in the United States to implement in South Africa? And what would be the one thing from South Africa that you would want to implement in the United States?
Excellent question.
Okay. The thing that I'm going to implement to people in South Africa.
What you would like to?
That would like to. No, I'm going to.
Okay.
Is that there is a broader community out there. There are people who don't care